It was back in 2017, deep in the Shasta Trinity Woods in California during a basic mission. Nothing special, nothing risky. At least that's what we believed. But the forest went quiet in a way that didn't feel right, like something was moving around us, watching every step. We kept ignoring it, until the night it finally stepped out of the dark. And let me ask you this, what would you do if you found out something was real out there, something you never thought could exist? So before we continue, please make sure to like and subscribe to support the channel, and comment down below where you're watching from. Thanks. My name is Miguel Ramirez, Staff Sergeant back then. I do not tell this one much, not to family, only to a few people. Late at night, when the fire is low and the beer is warm and nobody is recording anything. This happened in August at Northern California National Forest. We were out there for a week of field training, land nav, night movement, small unit stuff. Walk in circles through thick trees, sweat through your gear, pretend the world is simple. Our little circus was a temporary army training area off an old logging road. Beaten dirt, ruts full of dust, couple of tents, some camo net, a few trucks nose to nose. The closest town was some small logging place that lived on tourists and seasonal work. Gift shops, old pickups, lot of flannel. You know the type. My squad was mine in name, but truth is, you belong to them as much as they belong to you. There was Hawk, Specialist Hawkins. We called him Hawk because he never stopped staring through glass. Binoculars, optics, whatever. Best eyes in the platoon. Sarcastic, kind of a smartass, but he knew his job. Joe was my medic, corporal. Quiet, serious, all business. Kept her aid bag squared away and her emotions locked down. She cared more than she ever let on. JD. Private First Class Jordan Daniels. New kid. Fresh boots, fresh attitude. Eager, jumpy, still thought the Army had a plan for everything. And Riker. Sergeant Tom Riker. My second. Older than me by a few years. Tough, steady, the guy you wanted on your flank. He had this thing about woods though. Never said he was scared, just always a little tight in the shoulders once the trees closed in. We rolled in late afternoon. Generators already humming. Those cheap portable lights throwing yellow cones over a patch of dirt where guys sat on ammo cans and folding chairs, heating MREs. Somebody had country on a little speaker until a squad leader yelled to kill it. Typical field life. Guys bitching, eating, joking, boots unlaced, shirts unbloused. The air smelled like dust, pine, fuel, and burnt coffee. I had my squad around the hood of a Humvee, map laid out, little red chem light clipped to my chest to see by. All right, I said, tomorrow we run land nav lanes from here to this ridgeline. Day first, then night. Stay on your points. No heroes, no wandering off. Hawk leaned in, pointing at contour lines. These gullies are going to suck, aren't? Thick trees, bad sight lines. That is why we are here, I said. Better to screw it up in training than downrange. JD kept sweeping his red headlamp around, nervous hands. Riker slapped the side of his helmet. Daniels, stop painting the whole forest with that damn light, he said. You kill your batteries, you walk blind. And I am not guiding your ass back to the tent. JD mumbled an apology and clicked it off. Weather report on the radio said, clear skies, cool nights, low fire danger for the week. Perfect. The net was clean. Higher sounded bored. Routine. Controlled. We had the usual brief from battalion earlier. Do not start fires. Do not get lost. Do not shoot anything that is not authorized. Bear and cougar warnings. Watch your footing. Nothing special. Then they tossed in a side note. Hey, while you were out there, eyes open for a missing local hunter, the captain said. Last seen near your training area 2 weeks ago. Forest Service is still looking. It is not official tasking. Just if you see anything, pass it up. That was it. Secondary, informal. In my head, it slid into the folder with all the other, hey, while you're at it jobs. Sun dropped behind the ridge. Air went from warm to cool fast. The forest around us darkened into a wall of trunks and branches. Our little bubble of light felt small. A Forest Service ranger drove up in a dusty green truck. Older guy, lean, face tanned and lined. Name tape said Kerrigan, but he told us to call him Bill. He handed some papers to our LT, then came over while I was finishing the brief. Got some updated fire risk info for you folks, he said. Voice easy, but his eyes kept moving over our camp, the trucks, the tree line. I took the papers. Anything we need to worry about, sir? He shook his head. Nothing special right now. Just remember, people get turned around in this forest. It is big country. Once you get off the main tracks, GPS gets weird. Compasses spin more than folks expect. Sound carries strange too. You will hear things from miles away. Or you will not hear something right next to you. JD shifted. Guess that is comforting, he muttered. Bill heard him, smiled a little. One more thing, he said. Cell service? Forget it. You are on your own in there once you leave this road. Behind us, a couple of soldiers from another squad joked about horror movies and ghost stories. One said this had spooky ranger energy. That kind of crap. Bill did not argue. He just watched the tree line a second, then looked back at me. You all watch yourselves, he said quietly. The woods remember things people forget. That line stuck in my head. I did not know why at the time. He drove off, taillights vanishing around a bend. The generator droned. Someone cursed at a stubborn MRE heater. Another round of stupid jokes about bears and Bigfoot started up near the water buffalo. I wrapped up the brief. Same watch rotation as last night, I said. Weapons secure but handy, helmets and gear staged. Hydrate. Riker, make sure JD does not wander off to take selfies with the trees. Roger that, Riker said. Come on, Boots. Get your trash squared away. I looked out past the lights, into the black between the pines. It was quiet. Too quiet for a place that big, but I told myself that was just the hour. At that point, it still felt simple. Training. Woods. Animals. Nothing else. Not yet. We hit the little town on the way in that morning. Standard stop. Gas for the trucks, coffee for the LT, cheap sandwiches for whoever had cash. The diner was one of those cramped highway places. Wood walls, old photos, a rack of brochures by the door, the smell of grease and coffee and old smoke sunk into everything. We walked in with soft caps on, uniforms dusty from the drive, heads turned. Locals always stare a little when a stack of soldiers walks through the door. We pushed 2 tables together. I sipped burnt coffee and tried to wake up while Hawk stared at a topo map on his phone. At the next table, a couple of guys in work shirts and ball caps were talking low. I was not trying to eavesdrop, just heard them. Swear to God it stepped right over the fire road, one said, one stride. Big as hell. I am done camping up there. The other snorted. You and your stories. Probably some tweaker in a ghillie suit. Tweaker does not have shoulders that wide, the first one said. And you did not hear those knocks, whole damn ridge answering back. Further down, an old man at the counter spoke up. White beard, weathered hands wrapped around a chipped mug. You boys keep going up there, you will run into the tall ones in the timber, he said. They do not like visitors, especially in the dark. Do not go banging around where you are not invited. Our table went quiet, then JD snorted. The tall ones, he whispered. Man, people really believe that Bigfoot stuff out here? Hawk smirked. Tourist bait, JD. Gets folks to buy t-shirts. One of the guys at the other table glanced over at us, at the uniforms, then went back to his plate. The old man just kept staring into his coffee. I remember thinking it was just local color. Every forest has its stories. Afghanistan had its stories too. You hear enough nonsense, you build a filter. We finished up and rolled out. The farther we got from the highway, the taller the trees grew. Pines and firs closing over the road, shade swallowing the trucks. Dust poured up behind the convoy in long, pale plumes. The deeper we went, the more the world shrank to ruts, trunks, and green. During the first day of training, the forest felt normal, birds calling, insects buzzing, little chipmunks darting over fallen logs. Nothing weird. Then we hit one patch of trail where it all just stopped. We were moving in a column, spread out. I had Hawk up front with the compass and map, Riker mid-pack, me near the back with JD so I could keep an eye on him. 1 minute, we had woodpeckers tapping, some kind of jay screeching. Next minute, nothing. Silence dropped over us hard. No wind in the branches. No bugs. Just our boots crunching and our gear clinking. Hawk raised a fist, halting us. He looked around, frowning. You hear that? He said. I do not hear anything, JD whispered. Exactly, Hawk said. We stood there a few seconds. The hairs on my arms stood up. That silence pressed in. Thick. Heavy, heavy. Move, I said finally. We are burning daylight. We pushed through. About 50 yards later, the birds started up again. Just like someone flipped a switch. Hawk looked back at me. I shrugged. Did not want to feed that feeling. A little farther in, we passed this thing just off the trail. At first glance, it was just branches, logs, deadfall. But they were stacked up, leaned into an arch over a narrow strip of ground. JD stared at it. That is weird, right? Wind can do that, I said. Or some hunter got bored. It looked too deliberate for that, but I pushed the thought away. Later that afternoon, JD came up to me when we halted for a water break. Hey, Sarnt, he said, voice low. On that last leg, I heard something in the trees. Heavy steps, pacing us. Did you notice? Probably a deer, I said. Big animals out here. Bears, elk. They move around. Keep your head in the game. If it is not shooting at you, do not fixate. He nodded, but his eyes stayed on the tree line. Cho had her own moment. We were near a muddy creek crossing, picking our way over slick rocks. She stopped, crouched in the mud near the edge. Check this out, she said. There were prints there. Big depressions in the soft ground. Wider than any of our boots. Long. There were faint toe shapes at the front. Bare, Hawk said. Rear and front print over each other, maybe. Cho shrugged. Mud does crazy stuff. Distorts things. I stared a second longer than I should have. Something about the spread of those toes, the weight in the heel. Mark it, I said finally, but do not obsess over it. We are not here to play park ranger. That night, we sat around the area by the generators. The forest outside the glow felt massive and dark. Faint knocks echoed in the distance, single solid ones. Then a pause, then another. Hard hits, wood on wood, coming from somewhere downslope, then high on a ridge. Riker glanced up from his coffee. Probably other units screwing around, he said, or some loggers finishing up. The knocks kept going for a while, then stopped. Conversation drifted back to sports, cars, home. Later, while we checked on the watch rotation, I caught a look on Riker's face. Tight jaw, eyes on the darkness between two pines. You good, Sarnt? I asked. He swallowed. Yeah, just grew up in woods not far from here. Oregon. Some forests have stories they do not put on tourist maps. That is all. You believe this Sasquatch crap? I asked. He shrugged. I believe people disappear up here, and sometimes nobody finds out why. The missing hunter came up in the squad tent right before lights out. Hawk was rolling his poncho liner. JD was trying to fix a broken zipper. Dude probably just slipped, Hawk said. Broke a leg. Fell in a ravine. Bear got to him. Happens. JD stared at the tent wall. Or something dragged him off, he said. Do not start, Cho said from her corner. We have enough to worry about without you turning this into some monster story. We all laughed, but it sounded a little forced. When the lights went off and the forest sounds pressed in, I noticed everyone rolled a bit closer together. I lay there on my back, staring at the dark roof of the tent. Outside, the forest creaked and sighed. Every little sound felt louder than it was. I told myself it was just new terrain, nerves, too much coffee. Still, when a distant knock rang out again, sharp and hollow, I felt it in my chest. Third day in. Training rhythm set. Land nav lanes done, patrol routes marked, routines in place. Then the radio crackled while we were eating breakfast. Ramirez, grab your map and hit the TOC, my LT said over the net. I sighed, wiped MRE sauce off my hands, grabbed my map case, and headed to the command tent. The TOC was just a bigger tent with more radios and more stressed NCOs. Inside, the LT was bent over a map with the battalion operations guy on the other end of the radio. When I walked in, he pointed at a grid square with a pen. Staff Sergeant, battalion just got word, he said. Forest Service found the missing hunter's truck on an access road not far from your land nav lanes. They want us to keep an eye out. Ops' voice came over the speaker. We are not turning you into a search team, but your squad is closest. We need you to take a patrol out to this grid. Hunters sometimes go off trail around there. See if you spot any sign. Camp, clothing, whatever. Report back. Do not be a hero. Do not go diving into ravines. I looked at the map. The grid was off our planned route, but not by much. Deep forest, contour lines tight together. Roger, I said. We will check it out. Time limit, be back before last light, Ops said. We do not want you stumbling around that brush in the dark. I stepped out, found my squad by the trucks. Change of plans, I said. We got side-tasking. Patrol out to a grid where hunters like to camp. Forest Service found the guy's truck nearby. We sweep, we report, we get back. No drama. JD frowned. So we are looking for a body? We are looking for anything, I said. Could be he just hiked out. Could be nothing. Stay professional. We rolled out on foot, weapons at the low ready, packs light. Hawk on point again, compass in hand. The forest felt thicker on that side. More underbrush, more deadfall. The air cooler. Sunlight came down in broken shafts between branches. After an hour or so, the smell of old smoke and spoiled food drifted through the trees. Got something, Hawk called. We came up on a little clearing just off a narrow game trail. There was a small camp there. Tent half collapsed, one pole snapped. Cheap, faded fabric, one corner tugged up, stakes ripped out. A cooler on its side, lid cracked open, food packs scattered. Some torn, none really eaten. Bags ripped, then tossed. Not how a bear usually works. Bears tear and then eat everything. Here, it looked more like somebody grabbed stuff, shredded out of anger, then lost interest. A folding camp chair lay snapped on its side, frame twisted. It did not sag. It twisted like something grabbed it and slammed it. We spread out in a circle, rifles down but ready. Cho moved through the camp slow, eyes scanning. No blood, she said. No drag marks. Tent is wrecked but not shredded. I do not see signs of a typical animal attack. Hawk knelt by the fire ring. The coals were ash, long cold. He picked up a spent lighter, dropped it again. Army? JD asked. Civilian brand, Hawk said. Big surprise. No sign of our boy himself. I moved to the edge of the trees. The hairs on my neck stood up. Ramirez, Hawk said suddenly. Check this. He was crouched near a patch of dirt just off the camp. There, faint but clear in the soft soil, were tracks leading away into the brush. Not boots, not paws. Long depressions, wide heel to toe. You could trace out toes at the front. 5 of them, each print longer than my boot. Could be someone barefoot, Cho said, but her voice did not sound convinced. Mud plays tricks. Who the hell walks out here barefoot? JD whispered. Quiet, I said. That was when the rock came in. It was not a pebble. It was a chunk of stone the size of a softball. It came from the tree line opposite us, low and fast, then bounced through branches and smacked into the side of the cooler. Plastic cracked. Everyone froze. Rifles came up. Not quite aimed, but close. Hawk, you see anything? I asked. He swung his binoculars up, glass to the shadowed tree line. Nothing, he said after a moment. Too much cover, no movement, no color contrast. Whoever it is, they are staying just inside the brush. I took a breath, raised my voice. U.S. Army, I called. If you can hear me, answer up. You are in our training area. Silence, no bird call, no wind. Just a faint tick of the tent fabric in the breeze. Then we all heard it, a deep exhale from the trees. Wet, guttural, not raspy, heavy. It carried through the clearing, low and wrong. I have heard bears. I have heard big cats. I have heard men pretending to be animals. This did not match any of those sounds. Cho swallowed hard. JV's knuckles went white around his rifle. Hawk, I said. Get what pictures you can of those tracks. Then we are out. We are not chasing some unknown idiot or animal into brush this thick, not this late. He pulled out his phone and snapped photos, angling to catch the prints. The mud was already trying to slump back, edges blurred. The images came out smeared and off. Good enough, I said. Form up. We pulled back onto the game trail, moving slow at first, then more steady. I had Hawk keep us on a route that kept terrain between us and that tree line. As we walked, something moved with us off to our right. Heavy. You heard branches crack. Not twigs, thick branches. Steady pace, not rushing, never coming closer, never falling back. They kept parallel with us for at least 20 minutes. Nobody talked, nobody made jokes. Back at the main camp, under the buzz of lights and the hum of generators, the forest felt far away again. I knew it was not. I went straight to the TOC, dropped my pack, laid the map out, handed over my notes. I told them about the campsite, the cooler, the tent, the chair. I told them about the rock. I played the phone photos of the tracks. LT looked from the pictures to me. Could be some transient in the woods, he said, or some unstable guy living out there. Could be a bear with messed up paws. Bears do not throw rocks, I said, and if that was a person, they are big. Heavy. The branches they broke were thick. Ops on the radio sounded unconcerned. Reported up as unknown human or wildlife disturbance, he said. Either way, do not go cowboying around. We will pass it to Forest Service. I pushed a little. Sir, this is feeling wrong. We are getting odd sounds. Tracks that do not match. Rock throwing. You are in a forest, Ops said. Forests are weird. You are still good to continue training. Keep your guys tight. No walking alone. We will flag that grid for the Rangers. That was it. The Army does not pause multi-unit training over one weird camp and some cold tracks, so we went back to the plan. Over the next day, the forest stopped pretending to be normal. Night Watch came back with stories. One of my guys, Martin, said something big walked around his tent between midnight and 1. Could hear it breathing, he told me at breakfast. Not sniffing around for food, just breathing. Slow and heavy. It stopped right behind my head, then moved on. Another squad reported footsteps around their perimeter just outside the lights. One guy said he smelled wet dog and rot for a few seconds, then nothing. Someone set up a cheap game camera near the edge of camp facing the trees. Half joking, half not. Next morning, Hawk found it hanging from its strap, casing cracked, guts ripped out, memory card gone. Raccoon, JD said. Raccoons do not pinch SD cards, Hawk said. Joe came back from checking the latrine area with a weird look. What? I asked. She held up a plastic bag. Inside was a clump of long hair. Coarse, dark brown, almost black. It was stuck to a strip of duct tape she had peeled off a tree at about 8 feet high. Found it on bark, she said, way above my reach. It was caught in a rough patch. Something tall brushed past hard. Could be from a hunter's trophy, Riker said. Somebody fooling around. Could be, she said. She did not sound convinced. Around the lights that night, soldiers from other squads started talking. You cannot stop that. Word moves faster than radios. Bigfoot messing with my tent last night, one kid from 3rd Squad said, half smiling, half serious. Shut up, another replied. Do not say that crap out loud. JD sat on an ammo can, staring into his coffee. He overheard 2 sergeants near the water buffalo. Missing Hunter's wife swears he did not just walk off, one said. She told the sheriff something took him. They left that part out of the official report. People say all kinds of stuff when they are scared, the other muttered. This place breeds rumors. I saw the way my squad kept glancing at the tree line. I also saw discipline start to fray. People jumpier on the patrol, fingers closer to triggers. I pulled everyone in. Listen up, I said. I do not care what stories you heard. This is still training. That means basics. 2-man rule. Keep eyes on your sector. Keep your rifles unsafe until needed. No firing at shadows. No wandering into the woods alone to play ghost hunter. They nodded. Some more eager than others. That night, we had a land nav lane under no moon conditions. Thick canopy. Real dark. We ran it in teams, staggered. My squad moved down a narrow trail, single file, spacing decent. Night vision glowing green on our faces. I had mine flipped up half the time to prevent tunnel vision. About halfway through, we all heard it. A solid smack of wood on wood ahead of us. Loud, close. Everyone halted. Then another knot behind us. Same tone. Same strength. Birds shut up. The little insect sound that always sits in the background out there just faded. Everything went still. Hawk raised his night vision. Stared ahead down the trail. Movement, he whispered. Crossing the path. I could not see it with my naked eyes. Night vision always makes things grainy and strange. I only caught a shadow. Wide. Tall. It moved between 2 trunks in one smooth step and vanished. What did you see? I asked. He swallowed. Not a bear, he said. Too tall. Walking on 2 legs. Shoulders were huge. Head almost at that low branch. How far? I asked. Maybe 30 yards, he said. It did not look surprised. It just moved through. For a moment, nobody breathed. Then, without saying anything, I felt us all tighten the circle around JD, who was in the middle. "We are finishing this lane," I said. "Stay sharp. Nobody runs." We stay together. We finished the course, points found. Grid squares verified, no more knocks. Back at camp, one of the perimeter guys called me over. He pointed at the entrance to our area. At the very edge of where the floodlights reached, there was a little pile of rocks. 6 stones, stacked in a neat small tower that had not been there an hour earlier. Next to it, on a tree trunk, were long streaks of mud smeared down from about 7 feet up. Straight, deliberate lines. "That there when you came on shift?" I asked. "No, Sarnt," he said. "I would have noticed. It just appeared. No one came in from the road. Could have been another soldier playing games. Could have been nothing. It did not feel like nothing." I went back to the TOC, radioed in a more urgent report. Stressed the pattern, the sounds, the sightings, the camp, the thrown rock, the prints. "Recommend we shift camp closer to the main road," I said. "At least tighten perimeter, maybe limit night movement until we figure out what is out there." Ops was quiet for a few seconds. "There are bears in that forest, Ramirez," he said finally. "You know that. Cougars too. People do stupid crap in the woods. Maybe some local is screwing with you. Either way, Hire is aware. Stay on mission. Keep your squad tight. We cannot uproot a whole training exercise over some spooked soldiers and a stack of rocks." His words were firm. His tone had a little shake under it. I walked out of the tent and looked at the dark wall of trees. I had been in firefights overseas. I had heard mortars incoming, had RPGs snap overhead. That fear was sharp and clear. You knew where it came from. You knew how to answer it. This fear was different, heavy, quiet. It sank in and stayed. The why started to show itself the next day. We were on a day patrol, moving through a part of the forest we had not used yet. Hawk walked us along a ridge, then down into a low area where the trees thinned and old stumps stuck out of the ground. The place felt wrong the second we stepped in. The ground was torn up in patches, old roots exposed, soil scattered. Some of the rotten stumps were ripped apart, chunks tossed aside. Not cut, not clean breaks. Ripped. "Somebody digging for something," JD said. We spread out, rifles down but ready, eyes moving. Near the center of the mess, we found a shallow pit, maybe 2 feet deep. You could tell it had been deeper once, then filled in, then dug again. Hawk stepped in and brushed away loose dirt with his boot. Sarnt," he said. "You want to see this." I walked over. In the exposed soil lay a few old brass casings. Faded, greenish, long rifle rounds. Not recent. Years old at least. Next to them, half buried, was a rusted chain, the kind you see on old dog tags. The tags themselves were gone. Just a metal loop. Beside that was a piece of bone. Off-white, roughened by time. Thick, with a hollow center. Long bone fragment. Not animal. At least not any animal I could name. I crouched. The air felt heavy there. "Cho," I said. "What do you think?" She looked down, face tight. "Could be human," she said quietly. "I cannot say for sure without more of it. It is not from a small animal." Riker stood a few feet away staring at a tree. The bark on that trunk was scored with deep vertical scars. Not claw marks. More like something hard had struck it again and again. He had gone pale. "You good, Tom?" I asked. He licked his lips. This feels familiar," he said. "How?" I asked. He glanced at the rest of the squad, then lowered his voice. "Few years back," he said. "Different unit. We trained a few miles from here. Different sector, but same forest. There was an incident on a night exercise. Bunch of shots fired. Guy said something big came into their lane. Upright. Huge. They dumped rounds. It screamed. A scream that sounded wrong. Human and not." I stared at him. "I never heard about that." "Of course you did not," he said. "It got written up as a bear attack. They said a bear was put down after it went after soldiers. That was the story. But the guys who were there, they never bought it. They said the command sergeant major shut everyone up. Paperwork stayed vague." He nodded at the casings in the dirt. "Those rounds could be from that, or something similar. Maybe some logging crew, maybe old hunting. But my gut says otherwise. Before I could answer, the forest itself did. A roar rolled over us from the tree line. Not distant this time. Close. It was deep and violent, tearing through the air. The kind of sound you feel in your ribs. It was not a bear growl. It was not a cougar scream. It had this pitch to it, this rage, that made my legs want to move on their own. "Contact front," JD gasped. "Not yet," I snapped. "Form on me. Pull off that pit. Now." Stones started falling from the ridge above us, not tumbling by accident. They hit around us in bursts. Fist-sized rocks smashing into stumps, dirt spraying. A branch cracked off a dead tree and thudded to the ground near Hawk. "Move, move," I shouted. Back to the trucks, bounding Overwatch. Eyes up. We began to pull back toward the dirt road where our Humvees waited. As we moved, something barreled through the understory off to our left. We did not see it clearly at first, just a massive shape, dark, tall, moving between trunks. It did not charge us directly. It cut across our line of march and plowed right through where we had dropped some rucksacks and extra water cans at a small pause point. Gear flew. I heard radios crunch under weight. You could smell this heavy musk. Musky, wet, foul. Hawk cursed as his spare radio went down in the mess. We broke out of the thicker trees onto the narrow dirt road where the Humvee sat angled in, noses toward the trail. Dust hung in the air. "Load up," I shouted. "We are pulling back to main camp, now." We never got that far. Something stepped out of the trees straight in front of the lead vehicle. It towered over the hood. Dark hair, matted in places, covered a huge frame. Shoulders so wide they seemed to fill the space between two pines. Arms long, hands big enough to wrap around my chest. The head was not the head of an ape, not fully. The brow was heavy, the nose broad, the mouth wide. The eyes were the part that stuck with me. Deep set, dark, but not dull. There was thought in them, awareness, rage. It slammed one hand down onto the hood of the Humvee. Metal dented under the impact. The whole truck rocked. Windshield cracked in a spiderweb. Another shape moved off to our right, screened by brush. We never saw that one full on, just the outline in a flash of arm. A rock flew out of that direction and hit JD in the shoulder. Hard. The sound of impact made my stomach flip. He spun, went down on one knee, rifle clattering. "JD," Cho yelled, diving to him, dragging him behind the wheel of the second truck. My hands were on my rifle. Safety ready to flip. Every instinct from years of combat screamed to put rounds into this thing until it stopped moving. But it had not actually attacked us directly yet. It smashed the truck. It threw rocks. It was enraged. But it had not grabbed anyone. Not yet. "Hold fire," I shouted. "Weapons up, but do not shoot unless it is on you. Do not spark a fight we cannot end." The creature turned its head toward me. It heard me. I swear it understood the change in my voice. Its chest heaved. It let out a roar. Not the first rage roar. This was shorter, harsher. It sounded injured. Not in the body. Somewhere else. Riker stepped back, eyes wide. A log came tumbling down the slope, pushed by something we could not see. It bounced, slammed into the road between us, then rolled toward him. He had to dive aside to avoid it. He came up panicked and snapped. 2 shots cracked out from his rifle. High into the air, not aimed at the creature, just reflex. The thing flinched like it remembered those sounds from long ago. The instant the shots echoed through the forest, its whole posture changed. It let out another sound. This one was rough, broken, almost like a wounded cry. At that moment, it clicked for me. The pit. The old casings. The bone. Riker's buried story. Now this thing standing in front of us, smashing a military truck, hearing rifles again. This was not random. This was not some animal curious about human food. This was payback. The creature gave us one last glare. Its eyes moved over the trucks, the uniforms, the rifles, the faces. Then it turned and melted into the tree line. Not running. Just gone. Trucks be damned. Branches shook as something huge pulled back with it. The movement in the brush to our right faded. More heavy steps, more branches snapping, then silence. We stood there, hearts banging, rifles shaking in our hands. JD groaned as Cho checked his shoulder, already swelling. probably cracked bone, but not shattered. She wrapped it as best she could. Our radios were wrecked. The lead truck's front end was bent, windshield shot, antenna snapped. The second truck had dents and scratches. One spare tire was ripped. The patrol was over. The whole exercise felt different. Whatever lived in that forest knew who we were, and it remembered. We limped the trucks back to main camp as best we could. One ran rough, pulling to one side, steering crooked. The other followed with hazard lights flashing. Everyone stared when they saw the damage. Dented hood, smashed glass, bent antenna. My squad piled out, pale and jumpy. The LT met us halfway. "What the hell happened?" he asked. "Contact with unknown large creature," I said. "Aggressive. Damaged vehicles. Threw rocks." No one fired directly at it. 2 rounds were fired in warning. He stared at me, then at the hood, then back at me. You could see the line he was walking. Training mission on one side, whatever this was on the other. "Get JD to the medic tent," he said finally. "Then you, me, and Riker are going back on the net." Command went into damage control mode fast. They did not have another mode. Radio traffic spiked. Hire wanted to know why vehicles were damaged and a soldier was injured. We gave them the cleanest version we could without sounding insane. "Unknown large animal," the LT said over the net. "Possibly bear, possibly something else. Aggressive behavior. No direct attack on soldiers, but vehicles were hit and rocks were thrown. One soldier injured by impact. Ops asked about size, behavior, sound. Too big for any bear I have seen," I said when they let me speak. "Walks on 2 legs, shoulders at least at hood height, maybe higher, eyes forward. It recognized rifles. When shots were fired in the air, it reacted like it had seen that before. Dead air for a second." "Copy," Ops said finally. "Forest Service is being notified. For now, all vehicle movement stays limited. You will move on foot to a backup extraction point and an old fire lookout tower to the west. We cannot risk more trucks in there until we know what is going on." "Roger," LT said, jaw tight. After the call, I pulled my squad in. JD sat with his arm in a sling. Pain meds starting to hit. His face was still pale. "We are moving on foot," I said. "Forest Service and Hire are sorting out vehicle recovery. Our job is to get to that lookout tower in one piece and wait for a bird to yank us out. It is 5 to 6 miles through this mess. We move now. No lagging. We travel as one unit, tight, guns up." JD swallowed. "We are walking deeper into their forest," he said. "The route goes west," I said. "They will put the pickup point on a hill. Better for the bird. We do not get a vote there. We do get a say in how we move." Riker looked over the map. "Terrain is nasty," he said. "Ridges, draws, thick parts. They picked the only thing with open air above it. We stepped off late afternoon, packs on, weapons ready. Radios we had left still worked enough for short range. Long-range comms were spotty. The big antennas on the trucks had taken too much damage. The forest felt even more hostile now. Not noisy, not loud, just watchful. Every so often we heard something big moving through the trees off our flank, always just far enough away that we could not see it. Branches cracking in a slow pattern, not random. Pacing, rock clicks sounded now and then. 2 stones hit together, sharp. Then another from a different direction. Communication of some sort. No way around that. JD walked near me, face set. "We shot one of them before," he muttered. "Not us, but soldiers. That is what this is. You know that, right, Sarnt? They remember the smell of diesel, the sound of boots, the look of uniforms. They see us, and they think of whatever went down at that pit." "Keep your head in the present," I said. "We cannot fix the past. We can only not make it worse." Sun dipped. Shadows stretched. We were still 2 miles from the tower when the light went bad. We had a choice. Push on in the dark through steep, unfamiliar ground with something big stalking us, or stop and set up a hasty camp. In the end, the tower would not matter if we broke ankles and got separated. We picked a shallow depression, ringed by trees, with decent cover and some sight lines. Set security in a rough circle, everyone with overlapping fields of fire. Lights kept low. No big fires, just a couple little stoves set behind packs to heat some food. Night fell heavy. Cloud cover swallowed what little sky there was through the branches. No moon. No stars. Just black. At first, it was just regular forest noise. Then the rocks started, small ones at first, tossed or dropped from the dark. They hit near our positions. One pinged off a helmet. Another bounced off the side of a pack. None big enough to crush, just enough to say, "I know where you are." Every time one hit, someone flinched. Somebody cursed under their breath. Footsteps circled beyond the reach of our flashlights. Heavy, slow. Sometimes they paused, then shifted. The ground underneath felt like a drum. Joe sat next to JD, checking his sling. Her head snapped up once. "You hear that?" she whispered. "What?" I asked. She hesitated. "Sounded like crying," she said. "Not human. Not fully. But close. A sob. Out there between those trees." Riker stared into the dark. "Back in my old unit's story," he said softly, "they said whatever they shot screamed for a long time. Guys had nightmares about that sound. Some swore they heard it for weeks." "Not helpful, Sarnt," Hawk muttered. Riker ignored him. "What if that pit was a grave?" he said. "What if they buried one of their own there after some idiot hosed it down with rounds in the dark? That bone, those casings. Feels like they dug it up, checked on it, maybe moved it." We stomped right into that spot. His words sat heavy on the air. "We do not know any of that for sure," I said. "We do know this. We pushed into ground they care about. In trucks. With guns. We wrecked a bunch of their trees. We scared them. They hit back. Silence. Then another rock smacked into the dirt near Cho's boot. I felt guilt rise. Not rational guilt. That deep, stupid kind you get when you realize you are paying for someone else's mistake and cannot prove it. We stayed in that hole all night. Eyes burning, fingers numb from gripping rifles. Around 3 in the morning, one of them tested our line. Branches snapped close. Then something charged forward just past our outer ring, snatched a pack someone had set a little too far from their position, and slammed it into a tree. We only saw a fraction of it. A dark wall of hair and muscle. Long arm, huge hand closing around the pack. "Lights," I shouted, "all beams out. Do not fire unless it is on top of you." Flashlights snapped on, crisscrossing the trees. For a split second, several beams hit tall shapes between the trunks. They were standing, not hunched, broad, upright. Eyeshine flared where the light caught their eyes. Those eyes did not look mindless. Then they stepped back as one and were gone. Lights cut through empty trunks and branches. Our fingers were on triggers. Not one of us fired. They could have rushed us. They did not. They stayed out there just beyond the light until dawn, letting us know they were there with every distant crack, every low breath. We did not sleep. Not one of us. First light brought some courage back. Not much. Just enough to move. We broke down the hasty camp fast. Packs on, weapons up, we pushed toward the last ridge line. The trees thinned a bit as we climbed. Ground grew rockier. At the top of the next rise, the fire lookout came into view. It was an old wooden tower on a hill, gray with age. Narrow stairs up to a platform. Broken windows on 3 sides. Railings rusted but still holding. The air up there felt wider. You could see the forest rolling off in waves of green and shadow. Fog clung low in the draw below. It looked peaceful from that height. I did not trust that view. We secured the base first. Set a perimeter around the tower. Used what training charges we had, Claymore practice units, and rigged them for racket only. Flash and bang if something tripped them, no shrapnel. I did not want a bloodbath. Not theirs, not ours. We stacked flares by the stairs, ready to send up bright streaks if we heard rotors. Radios came out. Hawk and the LT worked over them, swapping batteries, fiddling with antennas we had managed to salvage. "Ramirez, up top," LT said. "See if you get better range." I climbed the stairs, boards creaking under my boots. The lookout room had broken glass, old maps, and a layer of dust. In one corner, under a warped desk, there was a stack of old photo albums and a rusty metal plaque. I set the radio down, tested it. Static. Then a faint voice. I worked the dial. After a bit, we picked up higher. Scratchy, but there. "Actual, this is Ramirez," I said. "We are at the lookout tower." Perimeter set. 1 wounded. Unknown hostile wildlife activity still in area. Requesting immediate extraction by air if possible. They came back with coordinates checks, questions about wind, landing zones. Standard stuff, said in a tone that was anything but standard. While LT handled the back and forth, Hawk drifted over to the old albums. "Check this out," he said. The albums held faded photos from old lookout crews. Smoky days, snow on rails, sunsets. Then he flipped a page and my stomach turned a little. There was a black and white photo of a group of soldiers in older uniforms, maybe 70s or 80s by the look. They stood near the same tower, same general view behind them. A helicopter in the background, scrawled in pen on the margin was a note. "Bad week, some critter got shot. The woods never felt the same after." Next to that photo was another clipping taped in. Looked like an old local news article. You could only read parts of it. Words about training accident and wildlife incident and Army and Forest Service cooperation. I thought about the pit, the casings, the bone. Riker's story of a covered-up event. The way those creatures reacted to the sound of a rifle shot. The way they went straight for our trucks and radios first. Pieces slid together in my head. This was not just their home. This ridge, that pit, these trees. This was the place where one of them had been killed by soldiers decades ago. The woods had not forgotten that. We walked right back into the same scar. I felt sick, angry, not at them, at us. We spent years teaching ourselves that we dominate terrain. We roll in with trucks and guns and assume ground is ours if we have a map. Out here, we were the intruders, and we had a history. I went back down the stairs, pulled my squad together. "They remember uniforms," I said. "That is my read. Years ago, some unit shot one of them, maybe more. They buried it out there. You saw that pit, you saw the bone. The note upstairs says some critter got shot and the woods changed. Now we show up in the same area with rifles and trucks," Hawk said. "So they smashed the trucks and tore up the radios." "Exactly," I said. "They are defending something. Land, graves, whatever. I am not calling them monsters. They are people in their own way. We are the ones who kept coming back with bigger deer." JD sat on a rock staring at his boots. "So we are paying the tab for some other squad screw-up," he said. "Feels that way," I said. We did not have long to think on it. Tree knock started up again, closer this time. 3 sets, from 3 sides of the hill. Slow, steady, deliberate. Not panic. More like an announcement. The forest around the base of the hill stayed mostly still. Then branches started to sway in a wide circle where there was no wind. "Positions," I called. "Safe on. Muzzle discipline. No shooting unless they break the perimeter, and it is you or them." Cho looked at me. "What if they rush us?" she asked. "Then we do what we have to do to keep everyone breathing," I said. "But that is the last step, not the first." We waited. After a few minutes, one of them stepped into view at the edge of the clearing below the tower. This one was bigger than the one at the truck, or maybe just on more open ground. Dark hair, thick chest, arms hanging low. It stood upright, no slouching. The morning light hit its face just enough to show more detail. The skin around the eyes was dark, the cheekbones strong, the mouth tense. It did not look confused. It looked focused. It stared up at us, not at the tower itself, at the people on it. I lifted my rifle out of reflex, then forced myself to lower it. I stepped to the edge of the platform where it could see me clearly. Hands are universal. I knew that from plenty of deployments. I held my rifle in one hand, barrel pointed safely down. With the other, I slowly opened my fingers and held my empty hand out, palms forward. "No weapon," Hawk hissed. "Sarnt, stand by," I said quietly. The creature watched me. Its head tilted a fraction. The look in its eyes reminded me of villagers overseas who had lost family in some mess we were part of, who now had to deal with us standing on their street again. It shifted its gaze from me to the forest behind it, then back. For a second, I thought it might roar, or charge, or throw another rock. Instead, another shape appeared in the trees behind it. Smaller. Not small. Just shorter. Maybe a female. Maybe a younger one. It stayed half hidden, gripping a trunk, peering around. The big one rumbled low, not the rage shout from before. More like a warning to whoever was behind it. It held an arm slightly out, not fully. Protective. We stared at each other for what felt like a long time. Them, faint at first, I heard the distant thump of rotor blades. Everyone on the tower stiffened. Even the creatures seemed to notice. The big one's head snapped toward the sound, then back to us. The helicopter sound grew. Air vibrated. We popped flares, streaks of red and green smoke cutting the morning air. The big Sasquatch gave one more deep rumble. It did not sound like surrender. It sounded more like, "You got lucky this time." Then it turned. In 2 or 3 strides, it was back in the trees. The smaller one vanished with it. Branches swayed, then settled. No charge. No stones. No more roars. By the time the Black Hawk came into view, the clearing was empty. We loaded out fast, ducking under rotor wash, gripping straps, pushing JD up with his sling. I sat by the door and looked down as we lifted. The forest spread beneath us. Dense, dark, endless. From above it looked simple, just green. But I knew better now. That whole stretch of land was not empty. It had history. It had memory. And it did not forget uniforms. Army life does not do well with things it cannot file. Back at the rear, it went by the book. Sort of. JD got checked into a military hospital. Shoulder cracked but repairable. They gave him pain meds, a sling, and a few nights under clean sheets. The rest of us went into debriefs. They sat us in a small room with a bored-looking major, a couple of civilians from some environmental office, and a recorder on the table. Describe the incident, they said. Stick to facts. We talked about unknown large animal encounters, vehicle damage, injuries, rock throwing. We mentioned footprints and hair. We described knocks and movement. We did not use the word Sasquatch. Not once. I watched every word. The major took notes. The civilians exchanged looks. When we finished, they slid paperwork across the table. The official report will list a hostile bear encounter that damaged vehicles and injured a soldier, the major said. We will note unusual behavior. We will recommend that area be flagged for limited training and wildlife caution. What about the tracks? Hawk asked. The hair, the rocks, the height of that thing? Those parts will only complicate things, the major said. You start adding folk tales to incident reports. You open doors you do not want to open. For your sake and for ours, we keep this to wildlife disruption and environment hazards. And the missing hunter? Cho asked. That is a civilian matter, one of the civilians said. Local law enforcement and Forest Service are handling it. Outside our lane, they had us sign statements. Clinical summaries where unknown large animal replaced everything we really saw. I signed. I am not proud of it. At the time, I still had people to look out for. You pick your fights. After they split us up, JD kept having nightmares, talking about eyes in the trees. Cho kept saying she should have saved that hair sample. Hawk started digging through old maps and missing person cases, trying to make sense of it. Riker retired early, said every creek near his house sounded like that roar. I went back months later, checked old newspaper clippings, and found talk of a training accident that matched what we saw. Those things reminded me of uniforms. That was the truth. I left a cross in my old patch by a tree near the border of our old lanes. On the way out, I heard one deep knock, then another. They were letting me know they were still there. I have never gone back. So that's the end of our video. If you made it this far, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free. And if you want more terrifying encounters like this one, check out the other videos on screen right now. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there. See you soon.